Chapter 8. The Mouth Below. The crack split wider. Steam hissed upward, thick and red, stinking of rust and rot. The heat blasted Myra's face, baking her blood-caked skin, making her eyes sting. Beneath the roar of boiling water came the sound she dreaded most, breathing. But now it wasn't distant. It wasn't threaded through the walls. It was here. A vast inhale dragged at the steam, pulling her hair toward the crack. The exhale roared out, wet and shuddering, vibrating the stone beneath her hands. Mira clutched the ground, her stomach twisting, her head pounding. Kara's body lay beside her, pale lips frozen in their final smile. But even Kara wasn't still. Her chest rose faintly, not with her own lungs, but in time with the cavern. Each inhale puffed her corpse like a bellows. Each exhale deflated her again. Mira crawled backward, gagging. No, you're dead. Kara's lips parted, steam pouring from them. A faint whisper hissed out, thin and stretched. Stay. Mira staggered to her feet. The crack yawned wider, glowing faintly red within, like raw flesh torn open. The pools bubbled louder, splattering blood-tinged water across the cavern floor. And then she saw it. At first, she thought it was stone. Pale, ridged, slick with condensation. But as it shifted, she realized it was a tooth. The cavern wasn't a cavern. It was a mouth. She ran. Her legs carried her into the tunnels without thought. Her hands scraped slick walls. Her knees cracked against stone, but she didn't stop. She ran blind into the dark, praying for distance. Behind her, the breathing followed. Faster now, deeper, shaking the earth. The walls pulsed like throats, veins glowing faintly with each exhale. Myra's lungs burned. Hunger chewed her hollow. Weakness dragged her down, but fear pushed harder. She didn't stop until she collapsed in another chamber. This one was different. The walls weren't stone or frost. They were flesh, smooth, glistening pink. Veins throbbed visibly, pumping dark fluid in rhythm with the breath. The floor was soft, spongy beneath her knees, slick with mucus. Mira gagged, crawling to the wall. She pressed her hand against it, trembling. Warm, alive, and it pulsed in time with her heartbeat. No, she whispered. No. She tried to crawl back toward the tunnel, but it was gone. The passage she'd entered had closed, swallowed by rippling tissue. She was inside. Time died again. She wandered the flesh tunnels, every step sinking into spongy ground. Hunger raged. Thirst scorched her throat. She sucked moisture from the walls, gagging on the taste, salt, copper, something sour. She clawed at her arms until blood welled, sucking it from her skin to ease the emptiness inside. She began talking to herself, then to Eli, then to Jonas, then to Kara. Sometimes they answered. Jonas whispered that she should have pulled the trigger. Silas laughed, saying his way was faster. Eli prayed, though his words came out in gurgles. Kara, always Kara, whispered, "Eat or be eaten." The voices merged with the breathing until Mira wasn't sure which came from her and which from the city. She stumbled into another chamber. This one throbbed with a low light, veins glowing like embers. At its center rose a column of flesh, slick and ridged. Faces pressed outward from it. Hundreds, maybe thousands, stretching the skin like trapped screams. Their mouths opened and closed, exhaling mist. Mira staggered closer, trembling. Among the faces she saw Silas, Jonas, Eli. Even Kara, her bloodied grin wider than ever. "Join," they whispered. "Join." Mira fell to her knees. Her body screamed with exhaustion, her stomach a hollow void. The faces pulsed, mouths opening wider, breathing for her. She thought of just lying down, letting it take her, becoming another face, another exhale. It would be easier, so much easier, but hunger still clawed. She pressed her nails into her arm, tearing skin, licking the blood. Not enough, never enough. Her gaze lifted to the faces again. Their lips were soft, their cheeks thin, their flesh meat. Her mouth watered. "No," she whispered. "Not again." But she crawled forward anyway, her hands pressed against the column, hot and slick. She sank her teeth into the cheek of a faceless stranger. Flesh tore away, steaming, bitter and rich. She gagged but swallowed. The voices screamed, then laughed. "Yes," Kara's face whispered from the wall. "Now you understand." Mira devoured again and again until her lips dripped red. The hunger eased just enough to keep breathing, and the city breathed with her. She woke later, minutes, hours, days, lying in the chamber, her face crusted with blood. The column pulsed faintly, the mouth still whispering, but quieter now, almost content. Mira dragged herself upright, swaying. Her body was stronger again, if only slightly. Enough to move. Enough to keep going. She didn't want to, but she did. The tunnels changed again. They narrowed, coiling downward, always downward. The flesh grew darker, slicker. Veins pumped faster, shaking the walls. The breathing thundered now. Each inhale dragging her forward, each exhale shoving her back. She realized she wasn't walking anymore. She was being carried. The ground shifted, rippling, pushing her deeper like a throat swallowing. She clawed at the walls, screaming, but her nails only sank into wet tissue, tearing strips that sealed again instantly. She was prey, and the city was feeding. At last, she reached the chamber. Fushed, endless, the ceiling lost in shadows. The floor sloped toward a pit at the center, where the breathing roared like a storm. The walls convulsed with every exhale. Steam rose, thick and red, filling her nose with rust. She crawled closer, her legs trembling. The pit yawned wide, teeth lining its rim. Hundreds of them, ridged and slick, each the size of a man. The mouth. She dropped to her knees at its edge. The heat blasted her face, drying her blood, cracking her lips. The breath inside was so strong she thought it would suck her whole. And she wanted it to. She wanted to fall, to let it take her in the fight. But another voice stirred inside her. Not Jonas, not Silas, not Kara, her own. If I fall, I'm just another breath. If I fight, maybe I can choke it. Her eyes dropped to the teeth, gleaming wetly. Sharp, hard. She thought of Jonas's shotgun, Silas's axe, weapons meant for smaller beasts. But teeth killed too. If she let herself be swallowed, maybe she could bite back. Mira stood, swaying, her fists clenched. Her body was ruined, hollow, scarred, bloodied, but her rage burned hot enough to keep her upright. The mouth inhaled, dragging her hair forward. She stepped closer. The mouth exhaled, a storm of wet heat. She spread her arms. "I'm not your breath," she whispered. Her voice cracked, weak. But the words echoed, carried by the cavern. "I'm your choke." And then she jumped. Chapter 9, The Last Breath. The fall was longer than it should have been. Mira expected to strike teeth, stone, flesh, something. But the drop pulled her downward endlessly, air roaring